Hello all my crafty friends, I'm Donna from Mason Creations Etc. and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do plate number 4 in my reverse decoupage plate series. Get ready because this one's a beauty. I'm decoupaging a gorgeous napkin in the center and trimming it out with copper. So if you're ready, let's make a mess. First thing I'm going to do is wipe the back of this plate with an alcohol wipe to remove any dirt or fingerprints. I'm not concerned with the front of the plate. By the time I'm done, there will be tons of fingerprints on the front. The back of the plate is the only thing we'll be working with. I'm going to brush on Polyvine's multi-surface lacquer. This is a great primer for any shiny surface, such as glass or ceramic. I'm using the dead flat finish because I want to remove the shine. This will give paint or decoupage glue a great surface to adhere to. Paint won't chip, scratch, or peel. I'm elevating the plate on a jar of paint so it won't stick to anything. If you don't wish to see the captions, you have the ability to turn them off. Tap your screen, go into the settings icon in the top right corner, click on captions, then turn off captions. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from Decoupagenapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. Notice that I'm taking the lacquer to the edge of the plate completely, but not going under the top surface. This will need to dry for 1 to 2 hours. I'm sponging some copper paint around the rim of the plate. This will hide the edges of the napkin, and it looks pretty. Normally we'd be doing this last, but we're doing everything in reverse today. Whatever would be done last, we'll be doing first. I went around twice with the paint to make sure I had good coverage because I don't want the edge of the napkin to show. Isn't this a beautiful napkin? I just love the coppery leaves with the black background and then the contrast of that bird. Napkins generally have 3 layers, but I'm only going to be using the top layer with the print on it. So I'm removing the bottom 2 layers. I shaped the napkin in a circle, sort of. Decoupagenapkins.com has such a great selection of rice papers as well as napkins that you can purchase one at a time. Transfers, molds, modeling clay, stencils, stamps, scrapbook paper, and much more. Over 8,000 products, including a great selection of Polyvine products, which are so popular right now. Several lines of paint, including Dixie Belle and Pentart, in a wide variety of colors. They are wonderful to work with and will send your order out fast. They offer several automatic discounts when checking out on orders over $50, $75, and $125. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address, and you'll receive 10% off your next order. They are truly your one-stop shop for craft supplies. Make sure you check them out. I'll be leaving links for all the products I use in my description box below. I used a water brush to remove the excess napkin. A water brush has a cartridge that you fill with water and then brush it on the napkin or rice paper. The water dispenses easily, so this is really convenient. You can find this in my description box below in my favorite tools section, just in case you want to check it out. This is a piece of a Ziploc bag that I cut up. I'm placing the napkin front side up on top of the piece of plastic. We're going to do the water method of decoupaging today. It assures you absolutely no wrinkles. I'm spraying the napkin with water, a lot of water. You'll see it ripple up in the center, but don't worry, we're going to work those out. I'm pulling very gently around the edges of the napkin. You'll be surprised how easily those large ripples pull out. If your napkin doesn't move easily, add more water. It won't hurt the napkin. Don't worry about any small wrinkles right now. We're going to get rid of those too in just a second. What happens when you add water to the napkin is it expands. That's why you get wrinkles when decoupaging a napkin. We're going to let the napkin expand in a controlled situation, and we're the ones in control, not the napkin. I'm going to use the multi-surface lacquer as my decoupage adhesive, and I'm brushing it only in the center circle of the plate. This will give you an extra layer of protection and double as an adhesive at the same time. Any of the Polyvine varnishes can double as decoupage adhesive. They all work much better than the popular brand of decoupage glue. Now that all the ripples have been worked out of the napkin, I'm flipping the plastic over and laying it down on the plate, napkin side down. I'm taking a dry paper towel and rubbing gently from the center of the plate outward. This will remove any small wrinkles or bubbles. Afterwards, you can remove the plastic very carefully. Since my circle skills are lacking, anything that hung over the copper paint I removed because I don't want it to show there. And you'll need to remove it before this dries. This will need to dry for a few hours because of all the water. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. And why not share this with a friend? Thanks for doing that. I'm going to paint Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish just on top of the napkin. I put 3 coats, letting it dry an hour between each coat, and let it dry for another hour before moving on. I'm going to paint over the napkin, and they're very porous, so I need to make sure it's sealed very well before painting, or the paint will seep through. I'm going to do a crackle technique around the rim of the plate. I'm using Folk Art 1-step crackle medium. Normally, this would be put between 2 layers of paint. Since we're doing everything in reverse today, that will need to go on first. I'm just going to brush it on the rim of the plate and let it dry for about an hour. I'm going to add Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Caviar over top of the dried crackle medium. As I'm painting, you'll see it start cracking. Once it's dry in about an hour, you'll have a lot more cracks. I just love Dixie Belle paint. It goes on so smooth and creamy, much nicer than other chalk paints out there. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. It's fun to see what cities and countries you are all watching from. I'm filming from Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. Look at all those cracks. Now I'm going to paint the rim with the copper paint, and it'll show through, so all the cracks on the other side of the plate will be copper. I love the contrast of the black background and the bright copper cracks. I'm such a fan of crackle techniques. I'm painting just behind the napkin white. This will make the image on the napkin stand out and look vibrant. If I had painted it black, it would give the bird and the leaves a dark, muddy look. When decoupaging, always make sure the color directly behind your napkin is white or a very pale cream, depending on the colors in your image. The bird is white, so I chose white. And I'm using Dixie Belle paint in the color Cotton. I gave it 2 coats of the white paint to make sure nothing shows through to the front of the plate. Now I'm going to cover the entire back side of the plate in black to give me a nice background for the next step. And I'll let that dry for about an hour. I have some great projects coming up in the following weeks. I'll be doing a 4th of July plate by request, a rope basket by request, and by special request, I have a challenge that I'm working on. I'm being challenged to turn a plain Dollar Tree tray into something beautiful. You'll want to subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos. I always like to do something fun with the backs of my plate. I'm going to do some copper stenciling on the back of this one. I marked the center top of the plate with some tape so I could center my design on the back. I did some measuring to get my design in the center of the circle. Then I marked a few places with a silver marker, so when I lay it down again, I have a guide. The way to get a perfect stenciling is to lightly spray the back of your stencil with a repositionable adhesive spray. I'm using Pixie spray, which is great and has almost no odor, and a very light tack. I'm spreading texture paste over the design with a palette knife. This will give you a raised texture. I blocked off some of the stencil with painter's tape so I wouldn't accidentally get the paste on the background. You need to make sure to clean your stencil right away. If you let this sit on your stencil, it will dry and be almost impossible to remove. If it dries in any of the small details of the stencil, it will ruin it. I have a stencil with some smaller birds that I'm putting around the rim of the plate. I only used the stencil twice, then rinsed it off before moving on to do more of the little birds. After I rinsed off the stencil, I also gave it another spray with the Pixie adhesive. If your stencil doesn't stick well, you won't get a clean, sharp image. I let that dry overnight, and now I'm going to paint the entire back of the plate black again. After that dries in about 30 minutes, we're going to jazz it up with some copper paint. I'm going to be doing a series of reverse decoupage plates. Each video will be something different with different techniques to try. I haven't even decided how many I'm going to do yet. I'm just going to keep doing them until I run out of ideas. So help me out. If you have an idea for a plate, let me know in the comments. You'll want to subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos. They're going to be a lot of fun. I lined up the stencil again over the bird. Since the design is raised, it's real easy to put it over the design. I'm sponging the copper paint over the stencil. I made sure to put the Pixie spray on the stencil again. If it lifts, the paint can run under it, and I want it clean and sharp. I did the same thing as before, cleaning and respraying the stencil between the birds. The copper birds are just a little too bright, so I'm going to grunge them up a little bit. I'm diluting some black paint with water to make it pretty runny. I'm using a sea sponge to dab that black paint on the birds. I'm doing it very lightly, and I'm using a sea sponge because it gives a very blotchy appearance. I also dabbed a little bit of it off with a paper towel. I don't want it too dark, just a hint of distressing. I test all the products that I recommend in my videos. I won't recommend anything that I haven't used myself and prefer. If I'm recommending it, you can bet it's a great product. Each product will be listed in my description box below and will have a blue link to make it easy for you to find. Any of the links I provide are safe for you to click on. I'm adding a copper edging on the plate because that always makes them look more high-end. I'm using my finger instead of a brush because I feel like I have more control that way. But if you feel better using a brush, definitely do it that way. As I'm painting with my finger brush, I'm wiping off anything that gets on the front of the plate. And if I get any copper paint on the black, I'll just touch it up. I'm using an alcohol wipe to clean up the front of this plate. I'm scraping off any paint that I may have gotten on there. What do you guys think of this plate? I think it's one of my favorites. I just love the warmth of copper, and those leaves and bird are just beautiful set on that black background. I'm going to seal all my hard work now. I'm using Polyvine Heavy Duty Extreme Varnish because it's waterproof. It will protect the plate from water running over it, but you cannot submerge this plate in water and leave it, or put it in the dishwasher. The cure time is 16 hours in perfect conditions, but I would wait at least 24 to 48 hours before using your beautiful plate. I'm going to put 3 coats on, waiting at least 1 hour between coats. The more coats you put on, the deeper your shine will become. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, DecoupageNapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. If you're enjoying these reverse decoupage plate videos, there's a special playlist with all the plate videos. Click the picture on the right to find that playlist, and I keep adding to it. Don't forget to let me know if you have a special idea for a reverse decoupage plate. I'm so happy you were here with me today, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all next week. I'm working on a new project with you in mind. I think you'll love it. You can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.